so let me bring this up. Hold on. Where does it say present? Okay, I'll just bring it up big. I don't really know how to do that. Okay, my name is Stacy Lacey, and I'm going to be talking about why we should require teacher experience. The first reason is the knowledge and the complexities of teaching the Common Core standards is something that only someone who has taught it would really truly understand. How to effectively teach across subject matters and teach specific grade level skills such as research, informational, literary texts, and also how to incorporate math, science, and social studies. You know, just knowing how those are all interrelated is really important. And I liked this quote that I found by McLaughlin and Overturn in 2012. It said, "Teaching the Common Core state standards is an intricate task. The standards cannot simply be checked off of a list." So just knowing the complexity behind it is really important. Also, having the knowledge of actually working through curriculum maps and how and when to implement certain standards. I know the Georgia Department of Education implements curriculum maps, but then your district may also implement specific curriculum maps as well. And just knowing what your school does is very helpful in knowing when things are taught and what time of year and what quarter or semester or anything like that. And the last thing was having a knowledge of how subjects are taught in the school system. Some schools are going to textbooks or are using textbooks and kind of work through a textbook. Some schools use workshop models, and so they're going to need a lot of extra support with books and things like that. And then the last is like project-based learning. So if you knew how subjects were taught in your school system and you had experience with that, it would make your job a lot easier on how to support teachers. I'm finished with my little thing.
Okay, and I'm Erin Timmons, and my webcam is not cooperating. So my position was that the role of the librarian is, or the role of a media specialist is changing from just librarian to learning specialist. And I read this really interesting article, and this is basically a direct quote from it. It says that library media specialists must refocus their job descriptions and their daily practice so that they target direct contributions to improve the achievement of all learners on defined curricular goals. The job description of a library media specialist predictably includes key components that appear in those of many other learning specialists employed in schools. And Stacy, if you could change the slide, please, ma'am.
Sure.
Thank you. So obviously the role of media specialist is changing. We don't just check out books anymore. We have a lot more teacher-like responsibilities. And in the past, whereas libraries were able to teach library skills, this is how you use the card catalog, this is how you look at an index, on a lower level, not requiring the higher level thinking skills and just regurgitating the information, that's not acceptable anymore. We have to teach higher order thinking skills and how to transfer those skills in the library and beyond. And also, the librarians or media specialists are becoming part of the school leadership team quite often, and those teams make instructional and curricular decisions that only an experienced teacher could really lend credence to. And then finally, on our changing role, it's no longer where the teacher brings the kids to the library and drops them off, or it's not supposed to be. We're really required now to collaboratively plan and teach right alongside the teacher. And believe it or not, you have to be an experienced teacher to do it well. And then my next point was the AASL had a position statement about the role of the school library media specialist in teaching reading. And the AASL says that we are required for teaching all 5 of these things on here. And if you're not a reading teacher, or if you're not a teacher, period, because these are things that you teach in pretty much all of the subject matter in one way or another. If you don't have experience teaching those, it's going to be awfully difficult for you to get that information across, which goes right into the next point, is that in our schools we have a wide range of learners, and that should say abilities, not disabilities. And so only a teacher who's been through the special ed classes and who's been through the methods classes and has done the student teaching and has actually been in there in the trenches has the kind of knowledge that they need of those learning exceptionalities, the different learning styles, how to engage learners, and also that knowledge of when it's appropriate to remediate or accelerate, or the word on everybody's lips, differentiate. You got to be able to pull those tricks out of your hat as needed.
My name is Ty Reagan, and I'm going to talk about the knowledge of standardized tests and end-of-course tests. As a classroom teacher, the teachers receive training in administering the standardized test, but as a media specialist, although they often administer these tests, they just don't have the content awareness that a classroom teacher that is certified in these specific areas are. The other thing is that teachers are familiar with curriculum and standards that are present on these standardized tests. The media specialists have a limited understanding, and this goes along with oftentimes the media specialist role is seen as a reading instructor because of working with reading materials and those things. But when it comes to any kind of interventions that the media specialists can offer, it's going to be limited to reading. Whereas now with Common Core, you have math, science, and social studies that may need some interventions where if you're going to do collaborative teaching with the media specialist will not have as much knowledge of that that can be beneficial to the standardized test, which could be the CRCT for our state, or the end-of-course tests. Also, teachers receive professional learning on aggregating the data that comes from whether it's benchmark tests or end-of-course tests or even previous CRCT tests that can be used to boost student achievement, whereas the media specialist is often not involved in those same types of meetings and is not aware so much of just exactly the data. It has been stated before that a lot of times a media specialist is on leadership teams and may hear and also have some duties when it comes to the data, but the investment is just not there as much as for someone that is dealing with the students when it comes to these end-of-course tests and have the knowledge of it. Also, teachers are expected to assess students and offer interventions, like I said before, that the media specialist just doesn't have the same kind of understanding because of not being, if you're not a classroom teacher. But those that come from the classroom have this and can also join in, be that collaborative teacher that the classroom teacher needs, that can help with any kind of interventions for, I know in elementary schools, you help them with the RTI, whether it's math or whether it's reading. Also, when you come to thinking about the writing test that is given in 3rd, 5th, and 8th grade, the media specialist comes from the classroom. It's going to have some knowledge of what's expected on that can help with classroom teachers and also help with students when they're looking for material books, whether it's for research or for content that can help with their writing. So that's it.
Okay, I looked at the training behind a teacher to be and a media specialist, and I used our University of West Georgia catalog to figure this out. A student teacher is required to do a student teaching, field experiences, and take methods classes. And a media specialist is required to do volunteer hours, which is not necessarily teaching during that time like you practice teach in a student teaching position, and also to participate in instructional design class where you do create and test it out. So there are opportunities to test out how to teach a lesson as a media specialist, but the real experience with teaching and working with the kids seems to be in a teaching position study, if you're following that track. If you go to the next slide, Stacey, thanks. So basically, that's what we have, and with previous teaching experience, because that's how everyone's coming out of school, we develop skills, these skills that we have learned in school, and apply them in our library media lessons. But how are we going to do this if we don't have that teaching experience ahead of time? Because that experience, which just to kind of summarize what everyone's been saying, helps us to understand the importance of including differentiation, which was mentioned in lessons. Also, we're more comfortable with presenting material at an appropriate skill level. And as a teacher, you really learn how to make adjustments when needed, when you're kind of assessing as you're going on in your lesson. And you become more comfortable the more practice you have with adjusting the level of skill and the way you need to present it. And that's really important even with research material and lessons that we teach in the Media Center. Also, we have a knowledge for classroom management. That's really important too in the Media Center. So understanding how to keep a class engaged, following directions, and rewarding them for following directions and doing what they're supposed to is just as important, and having those skills and tricks in our bags is just as important, and we gain it in a teaching experience. That's it.
Okay, thanks. That's good. And Stacy, you and Ty can turn off your cameras, and I'll take back the presenter role, at least for now. Thank you. I think the PowerPoint slides are helpful. Not required, but nice. So, your other guys can bring up your cameras. That'd be Janice, Maureen, Amanda, and Tiffany. And if you have a plan, I'll let you execute it.
Okay. Hold on. Okay. Okay, so we do have a PowerPoint. Does anybody have the final copy of it? I can't
think I have it. Wait a minute.
Yeah, I would need to know who has that so I can make you the presenter, and then you can share your screen like Stacy did before.
I have what we have to. Oh, sorry.
Okay, I think I have it, Dr. Cooper. This is Janice. Okay. Can everybody see it?
Yeah, we're seeing your screen just fine, thanks.
Okay, all right. So Amanda, can you see it?
Okay, can you hear me? I was muted.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll start with our point on why media specialists should not be required to have classroom experience. One of the things that I found was that people coming from the industry world or straight out of college have different experiences and a diverse background that kind of brings into the Media Center more life experiences, and those can be turned into lessons based on the outside world. One of the resources I got, it says, diversity of career background and life experience can enrich the work of this profession. For instance, a former advertiser designer designed an interactive Dewey Decimal slideshow for his elementary students, and another colleague used her knowledge of the political arena to help her explore better relationships with her principal and other administrators. So I think even though they don't have that classroom experience, the way technology is becoming such a huge part of school systems, that the Media Center is not just somebody that needs to know about books. They need to know about new technologies. They're there for teachers to be a resource to come to share different knowledge. I know at my school we've implemented iPads. Next year there's going to be iPads at the middle school. In 2 or 3 years there's going to be iPads in primary and elementary schools. And so media specialists are going to have some type of diverse background in technology, not just in the classroom, to help expand knowledge throughout the Media Center. So I don't think classroom experience should be a requirement. I think a diverse background can also be a doorway into the Media Center.
Okay, and you finished, Amanda?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and I guess I'm up next, and my slide talks about principals view the most important skill of a school library media specialist to be in the area of material selection, library management, reference resource to students, and reading promotions. Instruction was ranked only 7th in their survey. And I found several different surveys that talked about what faculty, students, and administrators look for in a school library media specialist. And just want to share some other results from the surveys. In one that was done by another survey group, they found that information literacy to be the most important role of a school library media specialist in a high school setting. And they also found that areas of material selection, library management, reference resources to students, and reading promotion to be another top quality that they look for in media specialists. Nowhere in my studies did I find that they were looking for teachers. And they also say that the literature does not provide evidence that principals consider school library media specialists as teachers when it comes to the hiring process. So it's not necessarily so that they're looking for teachers when they're looking for library media specialists. And I think also I'm one of those people that don't have the library media specialist background. I come from the public sector, and I think that when you get people that come from the public sector, they bring a diverse skills. I don't know how many teachers have handled a $500,000 or $1 million budget like some people that are coming from the private sector. And you know, budgeting is a very important role in that position. Managing a lot of people, I don't know if teachers bring that skill. I mean, they can manage students, but managing a diverse group of people, that's another skill that they bring. So just looking at the results and the survey qualities, the 26 qualities that was rated for a school library media specialist, still the top one rated skill was ability to work well with others. So I don't necessarily think that you have to be a teacher in order to be an effective library media specialist. Thank you.
We're not hearing you, Maureen. Are you muted still? No problem.
Sorry about that. I thought it was on. Oh dear, I'm hearing myself. Okay, so my point of view is there are people, I'm Maureen Wolfman. Sorry. There are people who have learning teaching experiences in the classroom, in the library, but they don't have the actual certificate itself. which for most people when they go through the 4-year education degree, they get a certificate saying they can teach. I feel like if somebody has like at least the skills of working in the library and has taken classes in teaching and education and knows the skills that many of the other team has talked about that is needed for a teacher, and I have some testimonies that I found on a blog post because it was very kind of hard to see the other side or find anything that might really talk about it. But this one librarian who, it's kind of like a hiring blog, she said, "I would hire someone without experience but not without ideas. I expect any new graduate to come to an interview armed with high-quality projects completed in school or at least firm ideas about beliefs, vision, goals, and strategies," which I believe is a good idea because you need, like, even if you might not have all the skills that you might gain from having a teaching experience, but just having ideas, being able to, like, at least being a parapro would be, like, when you start out not having experience, being a parapro, it does help. Also, I actually have had student teaching experience when I was in college, and I just got out of college, like as Amanda said that some people need experience outside. I actually haven't put this in the PowerPoint, I forgot to. But I've had like teaching experience with diverse students and diverse people, and everything that the other side was talking about, yes, is great to have, but you can always learn it when you are working in the library or when you're not you can learn it through many different sources. So yeah, well, yeah, I think I'm done.
Okay, guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Can you hear me? Okay, sorry,
Yes.
my webcam lens is cracked, so I'm going to have to do this without the webcam. But, okay, so I want to talk about the digital age and technology and how that plays into whether or not a person needs classroom experience to be a media specialist. So with the technological advances in education, now I think it's definitely redefined our role as a media specialist. One of the most important roles, I think, of the present day media specialist is to be a leader in technology integration. It's become such a crucial element of teaching and learning, and it's important to note that technology is transforming, not only the way we find information, but also how it transforms our skills that we need to use it effectively. So it is important that we, as media specialists, teach our students and our teachers how to organize information and develop information skills that are ultimately going to help them use it to their advantage, because obviously our students can't benefit from technology if our teachers or if our media specialist is not comfortable and familiar with it. So, and this brings me to my point that other career fields and degrees that are related to information and technology may be qualified to excel in a job in school library. And as an example, I wanted to share a story that I found on the School Library Journal website that kind of shocked me a little bit. It was a school in Minnesota, and the principal and media specialist decided to remove nearly all of their print materials and instead provided each student with a laptop, and they had a bunch of ebooks and online research database access on it. But and they actually donated all the books to Africa. But I don't think that we should completely do away with print materials. I think they're an integral part of what makes a school library a school library. But I do think that this may be an example of a preview of what's may to come, or it may be more common in the future, especially with the way technology is advancing at such a quick pace. But so I do believe that even though a person may not have the traditional classroom experience before entering a position as a media specialist, I do think that if an individual possesses the communication skills, a computer background, a computer knowledge, interactive technology, and can incorporate it into a curriculum and work with those teachers, like Janice was saying, and be a collaborative, positive individual, then I do think they can flourish in this job, especially in the years to come. So that is what I wanted to share.
I felt like I
Thanks to all of you. And let me see, we have a couple of minutes if anybody has a follow-up comment you'd like to make, or maybe you're actually on the other side of the fence from what you were saying.
I will say, and this is Tiffany, I know it's hard for you guys not to see me, but I will say that this was very difficult for me to find information on. I took the digital route, but in the beginning, I have to say I'm a little bit on the fence. I feel like as a classroom teacher or as a media specialist, you can benefit from that classroom experience. I definitely think it can be done without the classroom knowledge, but I think a little bit I was on the other side of the fence on this one.
I also went both ways.
I'm actually for not.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
All I was going to say was I definitely went both ways too. I proved myself wrong several times, and then found reasons why you should. So I definitely went two different ways and just went with what a feeling was more than the research, because like you said, it was hard to find it from what I was going at.
Okay. Well, for me, like, I understand that we do need to have, like, certain skill points for being a teacher. But while in college, I actually did take a lot of education classes, which allowed me to, like, learn everything that most teachers know. And I think with those skill sets, I could do pretty well at being a librarian, but I would probably still need to, I didn't actually, like, I finished my degree in a different type of thing. I kind of didn't get a actual education degree. It just feels like doesn't matter where you come from. If you have some knowledge of being around kids, interacting with them, and have maybe some background knowledge in the library, because I actually worked in a academic library in college for 4 years, so that I forgot to add that, but I have library experience. So, I don't know.
And this is Janice, and I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
This is Janice, and my experience has been I've been volunteering a lot at a lot of different libraries. So when I finish this course, I probably have like 1,000 hours because I don't have the background. I've really been, doing a lot of volunteering. And what I found out when they find out what my background is, and the years of experience I have in state government and the job titles that I've had, and I've been on senior management teams, a lot of them are really asking me for my knowledge, asking me how should they handle this, how should they handle that, and asking for my ideas. So a lot of the librarians or the media specialists are really trying to dig into my skills and asking me how I will handle certain situations. So I think that, just the knowledge and my background and my experience and my years of managing people and budgets has been very helpful to them as well.
This is Erin, and I just wanted to say that I really liked what Ty said about being invested in the data. Coming from the classroom into the media center, when it's not my kids, it's hard to be as invested, and I think if I hadn't been a teacher in the past, it would be extremely difficult for me to understand how serious the data is and how personal the data is when you're looking at it. And with that becoming the focus of all of our conversations as a faculty and as a leadership team, I think it would be awfully hard to grasp the importance of that data if you did not have that investment from being a classroom teacher.
Dr. Cooper, quick question. Will you be posting the PowerPoints as well? Oh, wait, never mind. Ignore that.
The PowerPoint you'll be able to see in the recording.
I just
The
realized
videos
that.
you want. Yeah, no, that's fine. So I appreciate your participation in the debate. I hope that you, you know, at least it sparked your thinking. This one is, I think, very easy to come down where you know, you can see benefits to both. I like the quote that I probably can't exactly quote, but you know, I would hire somebody who doesn't have teaching experience, but I wouldn't hire somebody who has no ideas. That you know, a lot comes down to the individual. What can you bring to the job? And Janice, your examples of your experience, you know, even in senior management positions, it clearly would put you in a position where you're working with lots of different kinds of people. You're on, you know, you're facing deadlines, all kinds of experiences that would be most beneficial. You know, probably grant writing and you know, managing budgets.
Right.
A lot of those kinds of things that you know, we try to cover in our school library media certification program. You know, the courses that you're getting here at West Georgia, but there are a lot of things that you know, those experiences you bring in enrich the school. So it's kind of a mixed bag, I think. But again, I appreciate your participation. It was nice to have the slides to get a little bit more of the information as you're speaking. Again, a reminder, I'll post the recordings from the other sessions, so you'll be able to access those and do that follow-up assignment. I'm going to say good night to you and jump over to my reference class where we have a different kind of activity going on. Again, I hope you found this beneficial, and I'll see you soon.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.